what happened here was there's this clause in the Constitution, in Article 1, and the state legislature of North Carolina, in, you might say, an argument just a little bit too cute, latched onto the phrase where the Constitution says the times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature. And they took that as meaning that the governor and the courts could have no review of what the legislature does because the Constitution talks about the legislature. And that's what they latched onto. And in fact, what had happened in North Carolina, and it's not that unusual in the United States or other places, that electorates are carved out in such a way as to favor the majority party. And that's what happened in North Carolina. And it was challenged in the courts. And the legislators took it to the U.S. Supreme Court, saying that we're not subject to the courts of North Carolina. We can do whatever we want pursuant to the U.S. Constitution.
Yeah. And look, that could have created quite a lot of almost election interference and really shaping states along favourable lines to whoever was in power.
That's right, in a completely uncontrolled way. I mean, to a certain extent, electorates are always debatable, how the margins are drawn. But to give a majority party a right to just do whatever they want without any level of scrutiny was something that had never been attempted before.
Yeah. What does it say to you, though, that it was still a 6-3 ruling, that there were still 3 Supreme Court justices who thought this might be a good idea?
Well, Beverly, as usual, the Supreme Court works in mysterious ways. The Chief Justice Roberts, who wrote the majority opinion, took the view that, look, from the beginning of the United States, courts have always been able to review what lawmakers do, and we're not changing that in 2023. As to the 3 who disagreed, they didn't really disagree. What those 3, led by Justice Thomas, said was, we shouldn't even be hearing this case. So they never opined as to the propriety of the law or the interpretation. They latched onto a technicality that because of some procedural things that occurred in North Carolina, there was nothing for the Supreme Court to hear. Now, Chief Justice Roberts dealt with that in his majority opinion and said, no, that's wrong. There's an issue here, and we're going to settle it. And the majority he put together really crossed the political spectrum. It was Justice Roberts, and he was joined by 2 conservative justices, Kavanaugh and Barrett, along with Justices Kagan, Sotomayor, and Jackson, who are viewed as more liberal justices. So it was a very strong, unambiguous coalition that this creative interpretation of the Constitution did not have any merit.
Yeah. So it sort of deals a bit of a blow because it was sort of pushed a lot by Trump supporters in a way to try and manipulate the 2024 presidential election.
Yes, in a kind of in an odd way, by controlling by saying that the state legislatures had unrestricted control over these issues, they would be setting themselves up to be claiming frauds and everything else, and then arguing that the courts couldn't look at it. And the way Chief Justice Roberts wrote this opinion, it's fair to say that this doctrine of independent state legislature is it's gone.
It's
Not
history.
that it ever was really there.
Yeah, it's history. It's suitably consigned to history. Tell us what you make of this latest audio that has emerged of Donald Trump, really, in as many words, acknowledging that he was holding classified information.
Look, this whole thing is so embarrassing and so shocking, considering that this is someone who was president of the United States, was the chief law enforcement official of the United States. And this whole event of these documents, it's one thing to accidentally take something, a file folder or something, and when you're asked to return it, say sorry and you return it, and that's happened more than once. But first of all, he didn't take a file folder. We're talking about boxes, and evidently it was actually serious stuff. I mean, defense and intelligence material. And outrageously, he kind of boasts that he has it and won't return it. It's something that we've never seen from someone in that position of authority. It's really quite disgraceful.
And then for him to come out and say he did nothing wrong, which is what his mantra on almost anything that is put to him. You know, what do you think? I mean, he's going to be tried in Florida on these charges. It's going to be very hard in Florida to find people who don't have some opinion about Donald Trump, and many are his supporters.
That's true, but jurors are very independent. When they take the gravity of a trial very, very seriously. I mean, and they understand that this is a serious thing. So I wouldn't be too concerned with that. What Donald Trump has to be concerned with is that Florida is known for having the fastest criminal prosecutions in the United States. They call it the rocket docket in Florida. Cases, I mean, before you blink an eye, you're suddenly in front of a jury. I can't imagine he really wants this to go to trial before the election. But in Florida, it's a real, definite possibility.
Really interesting, Harry. Great to see you as always. Thanks so much.
Thank you.